Yeah. Yes.
You can see.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. We'll just wait for a minute or two because a few people will be logging in from the YouTube. So we'll just wait for a couple of 30, 40 seconds and then we start. Just hold on. Those people who are already logged into YouTube, please hold on for a max to max 30 seconds. We'll start sharp on time. It's 3:59, so we still have a minute left. But I just logged in so that people in YouTube can just log in. Okay, let's get started. It's 4 o'clock sharp. Let's stick to time limits. Let me just start with the slide share. Before I start the slide share, happy Guru Purnima to everybody. A day of teachers, and everyone is a teacher actually. And it's a beautiful fact that we are doing something on street hawkers or street vendor. Trust me, if the eyes are open to learn something from anywhere, I think everybody can be a fantastic teacher. Without much ado, let's get started. I have actually named this program today as the Street Hawk MBA. This word Street Hawk is that's a beautiful TV serial of TV Street Hawker, Street Hawk when I was a kid. But the reason why I put this is if my eyes are as a hawk watching the street, then we can learn a lot from street hawkers. It's a beautiful fun. That's why I actually put this. So people welcome for people who have come from Zoom as well as welcoming all people who are on YouTube. People on YouTube, you can start posting your questions as and when you have a question. I have a couple of friends who will help me out with reading out those questions in between. And people who are in Zoom, any point in time you want to have a discussion or a question or a query or anything, just unmute yourself and just speak. I have not given access to a lot of people on Zoom, so Zoom will be restricted to maximum 20, 25, max to max. As and when they come, let's get started. So any point in time you have a question, if you're in YouTube, just type the question. I have my friend Neeta who will share me that questions, and people in Zoom just unmute and you can shoot your questions. So let's get started with the first thing which I wanted to share. I have made this time's agenda a bit differently because it's like the street hawkeye. All of you have understood something called as hawkeye. In cricket, you have something called as hawkeye, which judges whether the umpire, when a referral comes to the umpire, it judges whether the person or batsman is out or not out. So here I have want all of us to use the hawkeye to understand whether this particular topic batsman is out or not out, or in this case, yeah, in the let's just admit people here. So in this case, becoming the street hawk eye for the street hawkers. So first and foremost, the decision of the umpire in this case is out of syllabus. I'm talking from an MBA, BBA syllabus, or even life skills perspective. Can we learn something from street hawkers or street vendors, or is that out of syllabus? So the umpire's decision is predominantly out of syllabus. And let's continue further. The line of focus, pitching on the road. So this is something which is actually pitching on the road. Okay, when I say pitching on the road, it is very clear that this particular when I say this particular thing is pitching on the road, its focus is return on investment. You talk to any street hawker, They understand one thing: return on investment. If I invested 2,000 rupees on my tapri or my vehicle or on my baskets, I need to make this money back probably within a month or within 2 months time. Their return on investment or the sales cycle period is something which is predominantly very fast. They want their return on investments ASAP. So the pitching is on the road. So that's the first thing. Let's understand the impact. The impact is on the customer. Okay, when I say the impact is on the customer, they understand business is business irrespective of who is doing it. And as an MBA student or as a business student or a person who is wants to learn about life, I think one of the, you don't have to see whether this guy is coming in a Mercedes Benz to teach us business. We can learn business even from, with due respect to the beggars on the street. They also can teach us. In fact, I have one particular aspect which we need to learn from them as well in the slides today. And then, is it hitting the wickets? And yes, of course, it is hitting the wicket because of Dil Ko Chuta. At the end of the day, it's business. So learning is simpler and stronger because a street vendor can teach us one thing about business, and that is, if he or she does not sell in a day, he or she will go hungry. Khane ko nahi milega. So they understand the impact of not selling or not hitting the customer with a sale. They understand that impact. So the verdict would definitely be not out of syllabus. If our eyes and ears are open and we start looking at street vendors from a different perspective of learning business from them, there are a lot of things that we can learn. However, in one of my slides towards the end, I'm also sharing certain, I don't want to use the word pros and cons, but I'm saying certain limitations which is there from a street vending business. Okay, there are some limitations that a street vending business cannot take to the next level. Those challenges will also be analyzed and discussed. So this is predominantly what the agenda is. Anybody has a question, you can just keep typing the questions in YouTube or just share the questions on Zoom. So hello. Okay, so let's start. So I have put down some street business sutras. Okay, and I've just put the humorously, I've put the name, street palmist. Okay, they also do good business as well. So let us understand some of the basic components which fit into a street business vendor. This has come sort of my interaction with a few people. At the same time, in my Bombay life, I have actually exhaustively had a lot of street food. I love shopping on the street and interacting with them. That gives us a lot of knowledge. So the first thing which I came to know is survival of the fittest, right from the childhood. Whether with due respects, again, I'm not against any particular thing. Even a beggar on the street is learned to understand that its life is not easy. You need to fight and you need to survive in case you want to be alive. So it's as simple as that. Survival of the fittest is ingrained in them. It's psychologically ingrained in them. They will never take no for an answer. They have to do business. The bottom line comes in, because if they don't do business or they don't do a sale, at the end of the day, they go hungry. Next, they understand one thing, and this is something which is often missed by big companies. Okay, they understand profit is equal to sales minus cost. Now, this might sound very simple. Most of the time, how do we increase sales? How do we increase profit? The answer is increase your sales. Obviously, profit increases. But street vendors, along with increasing sales, also focus on one more aspect, which is reducing cost also adds to profit. Is it a right funda, right phenomena? Hold on, we'll talk at the end. But they understand that I can make money in two ways: reducing cost and increasing sales. So this kind of thing works well for them, because the turnover of the business is not that huge. We are not looking at economy of scale, which big companies do. So here, to make profit, I can also reduce cost. But economy of scale is not part and parcel of a street vendor's business. So that way, even reducing cost adds to profit. Next, this is one thing. If at all you have to learn something from a street vendor, this is the thing to be learned. Cash in hand is worth more than. Okay, I've got a chat. I think I have got a question on chat. Anybody has got a question? Just please ask me, unmute and ask me, please. I'm not able to see the slides. Maybe network issue. I think so, ma'am. I think so. Okay. Coming back. Okay, fine. Let us come back to screen share. This is one thing, very important aspect that we need to learn from street vendors. Cash in hand today is worth more than the same cash in hand tomorrow. Which means, suppose if I have 1,000 rupees in my hand today, it is worth more than 1,000 rupees in my hand tomorrow. There is a lot of meanings that come from it, because their ability, because it comes from a limitation of them to hold on to credit or give credit. their liabilities are high. Because their liabilities are high, they understand NPV, net present value. Big people who invest in the share market or mutual funds always talk about one thing: net present value. If at all somebody has to understand net present value from a daily basis, I think street vendors can teach us that. They understand this phenomena. 1,000 rupees today is worth more in my hand, is worth more than 1,000 rupees in my hand tomorrow, because the spending potential of that can be put back, plowed back into the business, and this 1,000 rupees can probably get me 1,100 or even 1,200. So that is the knowledge which gets ingrained in a street vendor. So that's a fantastic point which we need to learn from them. Continuing further, they understand asset versus liability. Now here I quote Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I'll give you some real-time examples which I personally have experienced. One of my uncles comes from a village. He's been my business guru. He's no more now, but he's been my business guru. He taught me this asset versus liability in very similar lines. Year-old kid or a 5-year-old kid. This is something which I learned. So let me take this to the next level. Suppose, let me give, am I audible, Anita? Because it says my network.
Yes, yes,
okay.
yes, yes.
So going further, this is something which my uncle also explained to me. And before that, let me give an example. Suppose I buy a house. I buy a house and I stay in the house. Then Robert Kiyosaki says this is a liability, because every month you pay maintenance and you pay money. So this house which you are staying, you are actually putting money in the system, towards the investment. So he says this is a liability. On the other contrary, if you buy a house and you don't stay and you get rent, then the same house becomes a asset. This is his definition. Finance people will not agree, because for them house itself is an investment, is an asset. Okay, but this definition makes a lot of sense, and street vendors understand this business. I'll give you another example which my uncle taught me when I was a kid, and that still they rings to my mind always. My uncle wanted to buy a fridge. He never bought a fridge. Okay, he never bought a fridge. Okay, the reason being, he didn't buy this fridge because he said fridge is a liability. I have to pay money. And one summer vacation, after a few years, I went to his house and he had a fridge. Then I said, Uncle, your funda of fridge being an asset is now gone for toss, or have you changed your mind? He said, no. He said, there is a street vendor outside my house who makes sarbat, the summer ka time pe sarbat. And that guy needs ice. So he's purchased a second-hand fridge, and the cost of the electricity bill which the fridge generates is taken care of by selling ice to that street vendor. Now, such a beautiful funda which actually sunk in my hand, that never buy assets where you pump in money. I mean, let me do a small calculation from an ROI perspective. Most of the people who have cars, with due respect, okay, even I have one. Most of the people who have cars, if you have done a cost-based analysis, and if you don't use your car daily, okay, daily to go to office or go to work and come back, if you don't use your car, if you do a return on investment calculations, even if you're taken an Ola every day, okay, or most of the days that you actually travel, you would have ended up saving a lot of money, and cash in hand today is worth much more than cash in hand future. This is thought, point, food for thought, point to ponder. Just think about it. I mean, from an ROI perspective, at the end of the day, it does matter. So this is something which street vendors understand from an asset versus liability perspective. Okay, so this is something. One more thing street vendors teach us is don't kill competition. Street vendors will always be found in a place where they are crowded. For example, you can talk about, if I ask, I will talk about this in a slide as well, but if I ask you where in Hyderabad, where do you get books, roadside books, everybody will tell you Koti or Abits. That is the place where there are hundreds of roadside vendors who sell you books. Where is the place that you get Xerox or photocopy done? People will tell you in every locality there will be one place where there will be 13, 14 shops selling you Xerox. Especially project works for students and all. Where do I get street food? A place like Shimoga also has got a congregated street food corner where people can go and have their street food. And it was actually done by the municipal head of the municipality, who actually brought this concept in Shimoga. So you find same dosa stalls, 4 or 5 dosa stalls, everybody fighting for them. But the best advantage of not killing competition is the fact that Everybody knows that this I will get it here. It's so the marketing job is taken care of because there is a congregation of lot of competitors. The marketing job of anybody knowing where to go is much easier and taken care of. Only thing that a street vendor or a local person has to do is fight against other people to make the customer who has come to your shop. That's the only thing that you need to do. You need to take care of the sales. Marketing is taken care of because of competition. So that is the biggest advantage, that they don't kill competition. They jund mein jalte hain. They actually work in because the marketing need not. Suppose I'll give an example to understand this. Might sound a bit hazy. Suppose I want to open a bookstall, roadside bookstall. Where will I open? I will want to open it at a place. If I open it in a place where there are no bookstalls, I have to spend money on getting people to know that I am selling books. And once they come, I have to focus on selling it to them. But if I open my bookshop in Hyderabad, if I open it in Abits or Koti, where there are a lot of vendors already, so anybody who wants to buy a book is actually going to come to Abits. So my job of getting people is taken care of. The only thing I have to fight is get them to come to my shop or my stall. That's it. So that's the biggest advantage. A lot of times people think competition is bad. A very strong person who believes that competition is not good. More the competition, more the better for the customer and more better for the people who give good quality stuff. When I say good quality, ROI, value for money products. Tomorrow, actually, I'm doing a webinar on selling, the art of selling. Anybody can sell. We say selling is not selling. So people understand that if I give value for money proposition to the customer is willing to buy, whether it's a premium or for some people, value for money may be high best price offer. So whatever it is, the customer who wants value will come. It's easy for you to take care of that. So these are some of the street business sutras. Last and foremost, these people sense change and adapt faster. Now, this is something we need to learn from them. The ability to sniff change and adapt faster comes instinctively to them because it's a question of their hunger. It's a question of, when I say a question of life and death for them. For people who are in normal businesses, most of the time a business loss or something or a change in a scenario is not a question of life and death. So probably the resistance to change takes place काफी slowly, probably with lot of inertia. So here people change faster because the reason to change is much more stronger. If I don't sell, I don't make money, I don't eat food, I go hungry that night. So that's the key here. So small business sutras. So to learn business, if you're an MBA student or you're a business student or you're a student who wants to start your own business, my humble request from a knowledge perspective, the Street Hawk way of learning business concepts. When I say Street Hawk, I'm talking about the hawk that is going on the street. गांधी जी का 3 बंदर को मॉडिफाई किया हूं. See everything, hear everything, and ask about everything to the shopkeepers. They are more than willing to share their information, share their gyan. We can learn from everybody. So predominantly, let us become the opposite of 3 Gandhi Bandars in case we want to learn a lot from people. So let's continue further. Now I start with a nice case study. I'll just share with you the case study. Of course, I won't be able to ask questions, but I'll just share the questions. If anybody still has a question, just make sure that you type it on YouTube or you can unmute and ask me. So there was this Kachori Wala. The name of the Kachori Wala is Mukesh Kachori Bhandar in Aligarh. There was a man deployed for 3 full days, morning 6 se leke raat ko 10 baje tak. This man was deployed to make notes outside the shop. Okay, all what notes? Hold on. And this guy making notes was a member of the special investigations branch of the GST department in Aligarh, Aligarh, and he was deployed to do a profiling of this shop. Basically, how much danda karte hain ye log din mein. And you will be surprised that eventually on 20th June 2019, a team of 12 IT people raided this shop, not in the peak hour. They did not raid the shop in the peak hour. And when they raided this in the non-peak hour also, there were 100 customers who were having their kachoris and 100 kachoris were being made. Okay. The 3-day receipt which this guy had done, the 3-day survey that this guy had done, suggested that they sold for around 19,000 rupees to 20,000 rupees normally per day. An estimated turnover of around 60 to 70 lakhs. Turnover of 60 to 70 lakhs. So they estimated that this guy would be making a profit of around 50 lakhs, 50 lakhs. Okay. And Nita, can you read out the question which has come out? Somebody's question has come in a chat.
No. I just said that is all they are making.
That is all that they are making. Okay, go to the that was a sarcasm. Hopefully, I thought it was sarcasm. Okay, they say that they make only 12 to 15 lakhs. Now, my question here is not to debate whether the income the GST department was right or wrong or was the fact straight. But my thought process is, if the survey is suggesting around 60 to 40 lakhs, let us understand what makes that business of a Mukesh Kachoriwala tick. And let us learn from that. Let us not be bothered whether the GST raid happened, what was the outcome of the raid, all that thing. Let's not be bothered. Let us learn the things, what makes that Mukesh Kachoriwala tick. And this was a few things which came out in the case study which I read. First and foremost, their focus was on quality. It takes time to build, a brand. They started with a small, thela kind of a thing, and then they opened a small garage kind of a thing where 4 people cannot stand simultaneously. There won't be space enough to move. That was their shop size, to be honest. Okay, which they have currently. Their USP was, unique selling proposition was location, proximity to colleges and railway stations. And people, when this people were interviewed as to why are you willing to wait around 40 minutes for a kachori sometimes in peak hours, people would pay money and wait for 40 minutes to get their kachoris. And they said that the taste was good. It was like nostalgia. They remembered their college days, and the taste and the everything is still the same as they enjoyed it in their childhood. So it was associated. And the pricing was also very aggressively priced, 20 rupees for a kachori and 5 rupees for a raita. That was probably what their pricing strategy was. So some of the things which make the thing is never compromise on quality or take care of the value proposition. In this case, the value proposition was good quality food at a very economical price. Make sure that the location of the, this is something which was inherent or which happened to them coincidentally or was a planned strategy. No, we don't know. But the proximity to, locality, proximity to colleges, railway station was a plus. And then customer satisfaction was the biggest tick why people used to come, and word of mouth was how the brand got promoted. Thanks to this GST raid, they got famous in Facebook and YouTube, and a lot of articles got put them onto the news, and their sales actually increased. Okay, let's not talk about what happened on the GST raid and all. That's separate. We'll keep it for another day. But let us understand this, that these were some of the things which made them tick. So let us continue further. Okay, now I will be sharing small concepts which we can learn from the street vendor. At the same time, these were some of the things which corporates also do. Basically, a corporate se jo strategy seekhne ko milta hai, the same strategy can I learn from a street vendor. That's why I called this the Sahi Baat Hai moments. The realization should come. This was something which I studied in MBA or my BBA or my this thing from a corporate world. I could have studied this even from a street vendor. So that's why I have termed this part of the slides as Sahi Baat Hai moments. So first Sahi Baat Hai. So before that, let us learn some concepts. Can somebody tell me what is unique selling proposition? Anybody from the audience in Zoom wants to share? What is their understanding of USP, unique selling proposition? Anybody? Whatever, right, wrong, does not matter. Just share what is coming to your mind. Anybody? Just unmute and speak.
So like Cafe Coffee Day sells not coffee, it sells the space.
Perfect, beautiful. So Cafe Coffee Day, aptly speaking, does not sell coffee. People don't go to Cafe Coffee Day to drink coffee. They go there to spend time. That is why their tagline, a lot can happen over coffee. The Cafe Coffee does not say best coffee, come here. Probably India Coffee House does the high quality filter, or Kothas Cafe, something like that, where they probably would be selling you stuff which is branded from this one. There is this stall in Chennai, Ratna Cafe. Their USP is idlis. They sell idlis only for 3 hours in the morning and 3-4 hours in the evening. But the amount of idlis gets sold in that restaurant is phenomenal. Though masala dosa is sold, dosas are sold, upma is sold, but their selling proposition is idlis. So similarly, talking about OLX and Quicker, both are similar companies. OLX and Quicker are similar companies, same software, same experience to the end user. But look at their positioning statement. Their selling proposition, or what we call as UVP, unique value proposition, is different. OLX came first in the market, and OLX said, kuch bhi becho, sell anything on the internet, basically. And their ad was positioned at the end users who wanted to sell their second-hand stuff. Okay, anything that they have used, they want to sell. They said OLX mein bech do. That was their tagline. Quicker came a bit later in the market, around a 1 or 2 months delay, and they realized that this value proposition or the end user segment has already been captured by the OLX market. So I have to do something different. I have to target something different. My selling proposition or my value proposition should be different. So they took a value proposition for the middlemen, the brokers. So what they said was, they brought in a concept which they said, you know, remember the ad of Quicker? There will be a broker who will be calling up and say, पूनम राय जी, मैंने आपको 22,000 बोला था, पूनम जाए, अच्छा पूनम राय बोल रहे हो, अग्रवाल नहीं. You know, that was their ad, and they'll open the shelf, and there will be a lot of quick, what is it? Fix it, quick fixes notepads there, and the advertisement used to say, Quicker allows you to save chats. OLX also allows you to save chats, but the advantage given was they targeted the middlemen. And when you capture that market, then you can build a brand and you can go to the next level. And then they started Quicker ke baad Quick Car, and then they started Quicker Homes. So basically they started expanding their business after being able to catch. Even till date, the strong presence in the Quicker market is by middlemen than the people who are in end users. End users still prefer OLX, while people in Quicker are people who normally are middlemen or brokers. I'm not saying it's the right strategy. They wanted to capture a market where there was not competition enough. A small market, bigger share in a small market is still better because my brand recall is there. People have joined, some of the friends have joined from Mangalore area. Look at the Ideal Ice Creams, a very, very strong brand in Mangalore. Ideal Ice Creams, Mangalore mein, matlab anybody will say ice cream khana, Ideal mein khao. But Ideal is very clear. They don't want to grow. They have grown organically, and they have not even come high, in a big presence to what do you say, to Bangalore also. Even in Bangalore, they sell through Pudla stores. Okay, they sell through Pudla stores, which is nothing but a Mangalore associate. So they have grown this thing. They are very clear. My value proposition is Mangalore market. It could be geography based. It could be emotional based. So similarly, now can I understand the same thing from a street vendor? Let me share this slide, and the wow moment or the Sahi Baat moment will come. And this is what, if you have traveled by train from Mysore to Bangalore, you will get a wow moment if you start analyzing every single Madur Vade guy selling you Madur Vade. Everybody has got a unique selling proposition. There will be one guy who will first come and say, Gara Gara Madur Vade, which is crispy Madur Vades. Okay, crispy. You buy that and you're having it. There will be a next guy who will come in the railway coach and he will start saying Bisi Bisi, which is Garam Garam, hot hot. And then your mind starts thinking, Gara Gara leke baita hu, should I have the Bisi one also? There is one more guy who will come with a combo, chai and Madur Vade. I like my Madur Vades with chai. So I always want to have it with chai. So I wait for that Madur Vade guy who comes with the chai. One side mein chai and one bucket with Madur Vade. So this is something which I prefer. There is one more guy who comes and says, Gar ko leke jao, and he gives you a plastic bag but dalke deta hai. There is one more guy who comes and says, Ramnagar Madur Vade. Look at Ramnagar is probably much more famous. The Ramnagar station Madur Vade is much more famous than the other Madur Vades in that route. So he says Ramnagar Madur Vade. Look at every single Madur Vade salesman or the street hawker having their own value propositions, or in this case it is selling proposition. It's not a value proposition, it's a selling proposition. But there is a selling proposition from each vendor. Have you ever noticed it? Jahan tak ke old generation people, like me, would understand one more thing. Before cell phones were in age, train mein people who were selling shengdana, moongfali or kadleka, how they used to sell moongfali or kadleka was, they never used to say moongfali, kadleka, garam garam kadleka, hygienic kadleka, nahi. They used to say time pass, time pass, time pass. Because breaking the kadleka or the moongfali takes more time, eating it takes less time. So आधा घंटा का guarantee हमारा 20 मिनट को तोड़ने के लिए 10 मिनट खाने के लिए. But they were very clear. Their value proposition was time pass, because cell phones नहीं था. In a long distance train journey, one of the biggest time pass was eating moongfali. But they knew this and they actually position the product just like cafe coffee day. It's like spend your time. A lot can happen over coffee. Jesa this kadleka guy or the moongfali guy comes and says, time pass, time pass. So this is something which we can learn from the street hawk. So what is the first lesson that I will bring to the table from a street hawker? This is, have we understood how to brand ourselves? Have we understood what is our individual selling proposition? And this goes for across the board. It goes for every individual, irrespective whether you are an MBA student, faculty, or a businessman, or working in a company. Every single thing, if your USP is your visiting card, it is dangerous. Now I'm making a very dangerous statement here, but I'm making a fact. If your customers recognize you because you work in a particular company, it is dangerous. Companies need to remember you with your value proposition which you bring to the table. If your company is remembered because of you, then you are an asset to the organization. But if you are remembered because of the company where you work in, it is dangerous because you are dependent on that company to build your brand. So find out your USP, find out what you are good in, and everybody is good in something or the other. In fact, they are good in a lot of things, which probably we have not sat, analyzed like this Gajni ka jaisa. हमने analyze नहीं किया, मेरे में अच्छा क्या है. Find that out and use it to your advantage. So let us learn from the Madhur guys as what is our USP and take it up. Again, I am repeating, anybody has got any questions, please type your questions on YouTube so that I can take them as we go along. Second Sahi Baat Hai moment. Shop floor layout. Okay, this is something which I love. One of my slides which when I recognized this particular thing happening, it was like a tongue in my mind. Okay, shop floor layout. Now, big organizations or big factories, one thing which you learn is operation management. The shop floor layout with its automation is designed with 3-4 principles. Principle number 1: less wastage of raw materials, less wastage of time, less wastage of human resource or labor. Everything is basically optimized. Now, do I need to go to a Britannia factory or a Nandini milk parlor to understand shop floor layout or production shop floor layout? I don't think so. This person on the street can teach us shop floor layout. The same concepts, okay, which is used to optimize labor, optimize space, and optimize time. A Pani Puri guy across India can teach us. Have you ever noticed that the Pani Puri layout across India is same? You go to any part of the world, it is still the same. The reason is this setup is absolutely the most best optimized setup where labor is reduced, the time is reduced, and most important thing is the convenience is reduced. The cash counter ke upar you have the lid which above which you have the dhania and above which you have the limbu, and on top of that you have the the utensils which they give to where you eat the pani puri. And the best part is police bhag ke aaya, so all that he has to do is put the red cloth on top and lift that plate and lift the stand below and run. Okay, so it's optimized. So I'm saying that if you understand concepts of retail shop floor, sorry, not retail, production shop floor management, the same concepts are applied by this guy. But this guy probably does not know those concepts, but he has come out with it based on using it, and once everybody has done it, it's become a duplicatable, or it's become a standard practice. It's been used across. Now the same concept is used by the 99 dosa stalls which you see. There are fabrication, mechanical engineering fabrication shops which make the dosa because they understand that the dosa shop layout has to be this way, which is optimized. So we can learn from these people also. So the learning which I bring to the table is, at every planning stage in any business or anything that we do we optimize? Do we optimize? Okay, do we focus on looking at labor, time, and probably this thing? Do we plan? Most of the times we don't even plan. It's like hawa pe hai, we just go with our instincts. I'm not saying going with our instincts is wrong, but somewhere we need to plan our whatever we do from a daily perspective. And this Pani Puri guy can teach us the effectiveness of planning. The alus come boiled from his house. He does not waste time in boiling the alus and peeling. Peeling is done because if you peel the potato, if you peel the potato before use and it doesn't get consumed, the chances of it get spoiled are much higher. So that is why they don't peel the alus before this thing. So understand there is time management with a lot of logic. So there is a lot to learn from the Pani Puri guy. Next time you're having your Pani Puri guy, Pani Puri, talk with that Pani Puri guy. Trust me, you can thank him for a lot of gyan that he will give it to you. So this is the second wow movement, or what I say Sahi Baat Hai movement. So let us start optimizing from today. The third Sahi Baat Hai movement, this is something which is again beautiful. When Google and all these Paytms and all these big giants came across with cashback offer, I'm sure all of us were excited, right? Kya strategy hai. Can somebody give me a thumbs up sign? So I know that how many thumbs ups are coming in. If you feel it's a good strategy to retain customer, give me a thumbs up. Let me see how many thumbs up I've got. Okay, fine, I've got a few. Okay, so when I get this thumbs up, do I need to go to Google to learn the by giving some cashback or giving some free stuff to people? Encourages them. Yeah, this has been being done for the last 60-70 years, even in our granny's time, by the vegetable vendors who give kothmeer and dhania free. Sorry, kothmeer and kadi patta free, dhania and kadi patta free. It's called masala, or in Tamil it's called kosuru. I do not know what they call it in Hindi or in other languages, but they used to give free masalas to masala means thoda sa dhania, thoda kadi patta, thoda mirchi, and thoda sa inji, ginger. They used to give that. And that was something which was, in fact, people used to go to the shop because that guy gives the 2 rupees or 50 paise ka free masala or free dhania. So that was something which these people used it. Okay, so let us understand, are we, and most of the times today, we are not in a position where we actually give. We are more in a position where for us, most of the business organization that I see in the world today, it is somewhere like who will give first. We don't give to give, we want to please the customers. A customer mil gaya hai, and this is something which is absolutely wrong. If we don't take care of our customers, kahin na kahin to we will lose out in the long run. A beautiful concept which I want to bring here today is, lot of times people say the objective of any business is to maximize profit. The answer is wrong. The objective of any business is not to maximize profit. There is a word that has to come in between maximize and profit, and that word is long term. So the objective of any business is maximize long term profits. The moment you add long term profits, the dimension to that meaning changes. No, henceforth, you don't look at a one-time sale or a two-time sale and run away from the market. We look at long-term sales. So long-term profit, may you start thinking from all stakeholders' perspective, including the customers. So that is something which these people can teach. The giving of the freebies, is something that, let us not think pehle tu de kind of a thing from the Hera Fairy movie. Let us also sometimes give to give, and trust me, that would give us strong dividends. Okay, that's the third learning which I wanted to bring. This is the fourth learning. Now, every retail outlet, okay, you talk about all the giants, okay, Big Bazaar, all the, place which has got real-time Reliance Trend and all, they always operate their, this thing, they calculate their ROI based on something called as revenue per floor space. What does revenue per floor space mean? Is that they will say, suppose every shelf, okay, is 1 square feet of every shelf area, they calculate how much revenue it is giving. Suppose this is Haldiram's bhujia has been kept there. So they calculate Haldiram ke liye how much feet of square feet I have given. Suppose if I have given Haldiram's, say 10 square feet. For 10 square feet, how much turnover am I making of Haldiram's, that particular product, in 1 month? Okay, or 1 day. They calculate 1 month normally. And they say, okay, I am making 1 lakh rupees ROI from selling Haldiram's. Basically I'm looking at contribution. I'm not looking at contribution is profit minus selling price minus cost price. So they calculate this is what I'm making. So they have a threshold mark. Anything that is contributing less than the threshold, the next month that store that will not be given that place, because real estate is very costly from a retail space perspective. So anything that is not contributing more than their set threshold value, they don't keep it in their shop at all, because they feel it is not going to give them as much profit as keeping something else can give. That is why sometimes when you go, some not good fast selling moving items are put on sale and the stock gets cleared and they don't buy that stock again. Okay, one of the classic examples is Vadumangai. Okay, Vadumangai is a pickle which is, you don't find that in any of the shops anywhere, including Metro used to keep it. Now they also don't keep it. So we wrote to Metro that we want this, but they still not coming. So this is something which they do, revenue per floor space. They calculate how much square income they are getting per square feet from a profit perspective, and they decide whether this has to be kept. Now, ye seekhne ke liye, should I go to a giant or a big trendy shop to understand revenue per floor space index? No. This guy selling books on the street can teach us revenue per floor space better than probably anyone in this world. And the reason is simple. A person, a boy, or anybody carrying books 24/7 or 8 to 10 hours a day. How much books can we carry in our hand? Yeah? Maximum 10, 15. Now tell me something. Will he carry those 15 books which don't sell? Or even though he's not probably literate, I do not know. I'm just assuming. Okay. Even if he's not studied, does he not know कौन सा book market में बिकता है? Look at the concept. जो दिखता है वो बिकता है नहीं है. जो बिकता है वो इसके हाथ पे दिखता है. I'm changing the word. What is seen is not what is sold. What is getting sold in the market is actually what he's keeping. What is seen in the market. Look at the concept. He knows that carrying a book which is not selling is actually less revenue per floor space index. So he will not carry that in his hand. And worst case, if somebody comes and asks for a book, he might say, "Ruko, main dukaan se leke aata hu." That's what he will do. But he will not carry a book which is not in demand. And Chetan Bhagat actually purchased one of his books from the streets vendor, and he made a beautiful quote. He said, that you might be a good author, but if your book is not in this person's hands, you are not a popular author. Look at the beauty. Fantastic statement. He says, if my book is not in this person's hands, I am not a very popular author, because this guy will sell only what gets sold. So his aim is not probably a Booker award, an award for writing a particular book, but he says, my book, if I want to be a popular author, then my book needs to be in this guy's hands. So that is something, a beautiful statement and a lot of thought-provoking statement. So the learning from revenue per floor space is this: at every point in time, let us start calculating, am I getting an ROI for this? A lot of times people tend to club their businesses. Suppose I am doing a business of t-shirts. I do t-shirts, I do hosieries, I do knitting garments, I do this garment. When I'm doing my business, I actually calculate profit at the end of the day. Good organizations calculate return on investments on each line item. They should know t-shirts, I'm getting this. Hosiery item, I'm getting this. Knitted t-shirts, I'm getting this. Woven t-shirts, I'm getting this. I'm saying go to the minutest line item. You will be in a better position to understand which you should stop producing, on which you should increase your production. That is something which we need to understand. The effective return on investment has to be calculated for each item or each selected type of item, so that can make a better decision making to calculate ROI. Every bit counts. Let's go further. This is a concept which is from a marketing perspective. There is something called as line extension and brand extension. Let me talk about both for people who are not from marketing or MBA or BBA kind of a thing. Let me give a very simple example. Line extension means a company had a particular line of product. They made some variations and brought another product, like lace may they have different types of flavors, but everything comes under the brand of lace. Now Kurkure brought in 2 new flavors. So those are some of the things where Coke brought in another flavor, another variant called as Diet Coke. So this is called line extension. Basically, in the line of the brand, they make a line extension. There is something called as a brand extension, which is my brand is already famous and I use that brand for another product, so that that brand name can be leveraged for the other product. Like for example, Maggi, which was very strong for the noodles, also brought something called as Magic Masala, okay, or Maggi Magic Masala. So that's basically using a brand extension. Basically, both are strategies to capture leverage on an existing brand. It could be a line extension product or it could be a variation. Now I actually wanted to put this photograph because yesterday I got the answer to a fantastic example to this, which I will also share. But if you look at the Chinese variants of the Indian dosas, okay, you ask for Chinese mushroom dosa, sweet corn, cheese, masala, they have this 99 variety dosa is something, because the basic aim is when a customer wants to have a change, that you should not go to a competition. You should make sure that this person comes back to you for a variant. So be proactive in terms of giving the customer what he wants before he wants a change. So that is something which is called line and brand extension. I was talking to a samosa guy just next to my house, and I was asking him, how did you start? He said, we started with kachori, and his name was Rajasthan Kachori Ka small shop, very small shop, Rajasthan Kachori. Then people started coming to him, and they used to go to the opposite shop to drink some soft drink or chai. So what he started was, along with samosas, he said, I should not leave these people. And he said they felt like the spiciness, they wanted to suppress the spiciness. So immediately he brought jalebi. Okay, then he brought chai. And just last week, post COVID, when he started resuming his shop, he started bringing in something called as vada pav. So now this guy has got variants. So once he gets a brand, he says, then the customer wants a flavor change. He should not go to the next shop to take Manchurian or something. He should come to me. So this is something which is learned very fast. Adaptation and change to sensing the pulse of the customer is something which we can learn from these people. That's a nice get tomorrow's change today. So if Mona Lisa was to be, look at this poster. I found this poster somewhere, so I just put it as a combination effect. See, look at this. If I want a masked photograph of a painting, Mona Lisa with a mask, still Mona Lisa is still coming. That's the power of the brand. Okay, so even she would change prior to understanding what needs to be changed. So why can't we change? So let us understand what is going to happen from a customer's mindsets tomorrow and make sure that we do it today. That way we can be one ahead, one up, and get the first mover advantage. Okay. Now this is one example which beats all examples. Now, I do not know how to pronounce this. Pardon my pronunciation. Swarovski. Okay, whatever, how you pronounce Russian names are very tough. Okay, so Swarovski is predominantly a high-end jewelry segment, platinum, gold, and all. You go to any airport across the globe, you will have their outlet there, because probably airport is something where you have the affluent people who can afford this kind of jewelry. At the same time, they want to take a gift back to somebody near and dear ones. This is, and they want to waste, they want to spend some time. So this is one ideal place in the airport where they can go and shop. So the shop is at a place. The shop is at a place where you have your target customer ready. Basically, I am at a place where I have my target segment walking around and bailing away their time. I don't want to use the word wasting, bailing away their time. That's a perfect place to put your stall. That's why airports will always have Swarovski ka jewelry shops. Okay, now ये सीखने के लिए I don't need to go to an airport. Every wine shop के बाहर you will find a pakoda guy who is making one of the briskest business possible in the world, because he understands his target segment. These people who drink at the shop or outside the shop, they need something like chakna, and his mirchi bhajis or his pakodas are a big hit. So this is what we can learn from this guy. Know where your customer is and be there. How many times you have come out of a restaurant and you have bought pan only because there was a pan shop outside? It was not because you wanted pan, but when you came out, you saw the pawn shop, you felt like having a pawn. It was impulsive purchase. So that is something which these people bring to the table. They understand the power of this thing. When you come out of a shopping mall, a supermarket, which is a standalone supermarket, you will invariably find a pani puri guy outside the supermarket. And that is to induce impulsive purchase of after shopping chalo pani puri khate hain. It was not something that you decided to have pani puri. Seeing this guy outside the shopping mall, you actually purchased it because somebody is going to get the car back and the lady is waiting outside. वो गाड़ी लेके आ जाओ, मैं तब तक पानी पूरी खाता हूँ. Okay, whatever. So that something happens. So these are something you should know where your customer is and be there to cater to them. So this is something which probably street vendors can teach us much better. So be there for them, be empathetic, understand the customer's mindsets, and if you can take the location advantage of putting, this is in marketing bhasha, we call this POP, point of purchase. Very important terminology with a lot of strategies there here, but these people do it very this thing. But if your stall is at a place like Amitabh Bachchan bolta ढूंढना ही मुश्किल नहीं है, नामुमकिन है, then trust me, you don't leverage on the effect of POP or the point of purchase sale. Okay, one example, if anybody from the insurance industry is there, this is something which we can learn from the vendors. Okay, POP, we call it HIP. A sale will always happen in high impact purchase point over a low impact purchase point. High impact point to low impact point. What if people who are selling life insurance, please don't sell insurance in a customer's office. The best place to sell an insurance policy is at the house. Because, for example, if I'm going to meet Mr. X, okay, Mr. X, and I'm telling this Mr. X, you should buy a policy, because if something happens to you, your wife will, your spouse can be taken care of. Now, understand something. When in the office, there is no spouse to hear this, and this guy's mind will say, "Jab main hi nahi hu, to kya farak padta hai?" Okay, but the same dialogue, if you admitted the person's home, in front of his wife, who the wife understands the impact of not having the husband. So it gets into from a low impact purchase point at the house of the customer becomes a high impact purchase point. Just like just like Eclair or Cadbury's का stall cash counter के ऊपर रखा रहता है, एक छोटा सा kiosk. Because when you billing के टाइम पे वो चॉकलेट दिखता है, आप एंड में बोलते हो 2 चॉकलेट डाल देना भैया, 2 5 स्टार डाल देना भैया, 2 डेयरी मिल्क डाल देना भैया. Understand this. It is not because you wanted to buy. It was not a planned purchase. It was an impulsive purchase. So these are emotional portions which we need to understand. So we need to be empathetic. That will get us to the next level. So talking about competition, I spoke about competition in the first slide, that too much competition is actually free marketing. That is why big corporates spend money and go to these auto expos. You go to Dubai, you have this IT expo. Why? Because it gives them the limelight. People who want to buy, want to know about technology, want to know about cars are coming to that place. So your customer is there in that place. You need to be there to cater. So you have to fight with the people there. Getting the people, the marketing is taken care of. Like I said in the before, it's been taken care of by being part of the expo. The same example which I spoke about some time back, Abbott's May. So, this is something, you go to Abbott's, you will be surprised at the amount of bookstores that is there. Whichever book you want, you will definitely find a paperback edition, or probably sometimes, sale kind of thing, any book, rupees 20, 30, you will find it. They also allow you to read and go as well. Okay. So that's something which is available. So this is, please don't be scared of competition. Jitna ho sakta hai, network karo. Networking is, making contracts, do cross-selling, upselling, all this come under that. Leverage the power of networking. Somebody will be actually there to take you, uta lega, koi tension mat lijega. Okay, so that's something. I have a few more slides. Any questions have come, Anita? Any questions on YouTube has come?
No, no.
Okay, let's continue. Okay, so coming back to the slide, Bata taught us two things. Back to school. Bata's initial was aimed at school children. Back to school kind of a scenario. And then you have, they changed, surprisingly, Bata was their positional shift where they started targeting the ladies for trendy footwear. Okay, and their advertisement was also, Bata ka hai, that kind of curiosity element. And the tagline was surprisingly Bata. They adapted to change to create a new positioning in the market based on, they were predominantly a school-based seasonal sale product kind of a thing, but they adapted and they brought in a change with surprisingly Bata. Same thing happens with the street vendors. There are people who actually sell, the Republic Day, Independence Day, mein flag बेचते हैं. Night, morning to night they change. Night mein they come out with the jazzy, equipment which can fun activities, hawkers. So they understand what the customer wants and they are very proactive to change. जो बिकता है, they are making sure that that is there. They are proactive to change. That's something which we can learn. So they think ahead. At the end of the day, they understand mindsets. They are more empathetic, and to be that, you have to be emotional. Now here I want anybody to give me an example of thinking win-win from a transactional perspective. When I say transactional perspective, I am not here talking about relationship marketing, social marketing like Tata's do, creating a brand image. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a transactional. A product is being sold, a service is being sold. Okay, it should benefit, फायदा दोनों का होना चाहिए, कस्टमर का भी होना चाहिए, supplier का भी होना चाहिए. For example, if I give a discount, the benefit is there for the customer, not for the person. If I charge extra, the benefit is there for the shopkeeper, not for this thing. One of the classic examples which I always get is multi-level marketing or network marketing kind of a thing. This is one example from a transactional perspective. If you buy a product, then you get a business distributorship free of cost. So predominantly what happens is it is a win-win for both. The customer also wins, the company also wins. This is one example, slightly dicey. Some people might agree, some might not agree, but from a transactional perspective, I can put only this on the table. But the streets of India actually teaches another classic win-win dialogue. Okay, and that is share auto. I have not seen an example. Ola Share came after Share Auto. Share Auto is a classic example of thinking win-win. A to B जगह जाने के लिए 20 rupees is the fare, मान के चलो. Everybody, 3 people will pay 10 rupees. So the auto driver makes 30 rupees instead of 20, and the individual people, instead of paying 20 rupees, pay only 10. Look at the concept of share auto, which actually brings thinking win-win to the table. So that is a powerful example which actually available in the streets of India. It might be available in the streets of other countries also, but this is something which I simply love. This is probably the best example of a thinking win-win. Customer is happy, gets a benefit, and the seller also gets a benefit. One more example. That's why I put this slide from Jaane Bhi Dwar, one of the very good movies. Satish Shah says that thoda khao thoda feko bahut maza aayega kind of a thing. Sabka khayal rakho. So when you take care of everybody and you start thinking win-win, you actually take your business to the next level. Automation. Automation is an example of a restaurant in Coimbatore where robots serve. Okay, now a lot of people say automation is the next in. Automation can be done in your limited resources, even at a street vendor perspective. Every roadside पे अभी ये loudspeaker आने लग गया है. यहाँ तक कि this loudspeaker is where he records it the previous night, 10 rupees, beans 10 rupees, beans 10 rupees, and he starts playing it in the automation part. Everybody gets to hear the sound. He does not speak. In fact, some people compete with the speaker only. खुद का आवाज के साथ खुद का recording के साथ जगह करते हैं. That's something which they do. That's an innovative idea to sell themselves or market themselves. But automation is there even in street vendors at a limited resource. Next time you go to a temple, वहां पर भी automation है. पहला आरती का time पे one guy used to bang the whatever you call that, I do not know what you call that, and then you have the drum beating by one person. Today everything is a machine. The priest goes and switches on the machine, आरती का music चलता है, this guy is only busy doing the aarti. So even that is getting automated. So it's automation need not be a high tech automation. Anything replacing a human effort which is not important but urgent can always be automated. So that is something which brings to the table. So let us learn from this. What can be delegated has to be delegated. But most of the time, when I did this program, the last week's program on 80-20 principle and time management, one of the biggest challenges that people do is they want to do everything themselves. You know that Rajpal Yadav ka, मेरे को सब कुछ आता है, मैं expert हूँ kind of a thing. Again, one of a fantastic actor and a great movie. So delegate work. If it is important, do it. But if it is only urgent but not important, then you can delegate it, get the work done. That saves your time to do something which is important rather than focus on something which is urgent. So that is something which we can learn from these people. Last point, human emotions. Now, marketers use human emotions very strongly. This was basically a slide which was, basically Coca-Cola has got their office. I don't want to tell the place, but Coca-Cola has got their office in the second floor in this building. Okay, so wahan par they put a board, Coca-Cola second floor. Pepsi was so innovative, they just put a board below, Pepsi everywhere. Call it an innovative advertisement. They played with emotions. Okay, there is one more emotional advertisement. Advertisements are predominantly emotional in nature because people buy only for emotions. People will justify it with logic, but every purchase decision actually happens because of emotions. I'll come to that later. So this is Micromax, an old ad. Okay, iPhone, and look at that. They just put an exclamation mark between I and phone. They said, "I can afford this." So they brought in a new perspective that affordable phones with all the features that you want. It was one of the hit phones before they exited their operations. So Micromax, they played with human emotions. Now I will share with you an example. I'm putting this purely from an example to learn. Okay, but understand. Sometimes when beggars come with a kid, the emotion takes over, and they understand this thing. There's a huge racket that goes where probably these babies are also sold in the market and for beggars to beg. Okay, that's comes. I don't want to do that, but understand this. There are some beggars who will keep touching you only because you are averse to their touch, and because of the touch, उनको छोड़ने पीछा छुड़ाने के लिए sometimes we play. Let us learn. I'm not saying let us become as physically abusive as them, but let us learn that it is the emotions that get the sale. All purchase decisions are emotional. You go to a particular shop, a roadside vendor, कपड़ा का दुकान, वो कपड़ा देते हो एक डायलॉग मारेगा, देखने का पैसा नहीं लगता है. Classic dialogue. He will give that kapda in your hand. You start touching, you start like the kapda, you like the feel, you like the texture, you like the color, everything is like. And then when the negotiation happens and the rate is not agreeable, he will take that cloth back from you and put it in the file and say, "Ma'am, nahi parodega ma'am." But when he takes it from your hand, suddenly the emotions start coming in. "Arey, mere haath se kuch ja raha hai." And that's one of the predominant reason where sales happens. Okay, why? Because you had touched the kapda, you felt the kapda, you liked it, and when that guy took it away, even कौन बनेगा करोड़पति में, अमिताभ बच्चन जब चेक हाथ से लेता है ना ऐसा, तभी लगता है अरे मेरे हाथ से पैसा जा रहा है. So that is what happens. So we need to understand. Even the shirt that you purchase, just give an example. The shirt that we purchased was not because of logical reasons. कि ये cotton चाहिए, गर्मी का time है, ये cotton चाहिए. We never purchased it based on logic. But after buying it, it could be probably reasons could be जिसमें lucky color अच्छा लगता है, 4 लोग मेरे को देखेगा, 4 लोग will give me appreciation, recognition, whatever. That's all emotional. But after you buy, when somebody asks you why did you buy it, you will always justify it. मेरा wardrobe में ना blue color नहीं है, मेरे wardrobe में ये pant के लिए combination का shirt नहीं है. We justify it. So understand this. Purchase decisions are predominantly emotional in nature, but it is always logic that is used to justify. So a good salesperson or a street vendor, they touch your emotions and they give you a face saver logic why you should buy. Okay, they give you a face saver logic why you should buy, but the decision making, they know that it's emotional and they cater to that emotions. This is something we should learn. Shah Rukh Khan ka dialogue, emotional kar diya na hai. We need to do that. Okay. Service supply chain. COVID times mein Domino's started visiting complexes in their mobile van to sell Domino's because the customers were not going to Domino's. Domino's came to places to induce sale. So service supply chain got transformed. Let us understand this. Today's street food YouTube video jockey, what do you call them? Influencers, YouTube influencers, Instagram influencers, they have actually blasted the power of the street food. You have a lot of people who actually now are aware of street food, and they go to their place from far. I watch YouTube videos before, if I'm going to a particular ready to look out for street food so I can go and have. I'm a foodie. I love food. So this kind of supply chain leveraging the power of the internet is something which is now already happened, and that is something which thanks to the video influencers like Instagram influencers, YouTube influencers, they kind of take that business to the next level. Even priests have started doing their rituals online. Look at the number of hits. There's a ritual in a coconut Purnima, that is Nariyal Purnima ka din, Raksha Bandhan ka din, which normally people have to do. So look at the views, 31,868 views. Okay, and this gentleman requested them to pay their dakshina by Paytm and GPay. He would never have had this kind of reach in a physical this thing. So it's all about leveraging the power of the internet, which now street vendors have actually started leveraging social media and internet. Okay, so let us start becoming like the Basanti of Sholay. You know, chapat 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 but chalega. But as long as we make the right noise at the right place, it does carry a lot of value. Now I come to the last section. What does not work? All of you would have heard about Baba Ka Daba story. A video influencer in Instagram and YouTuber made this guy very famous, started collecting money for this guy. Again, let us not get into the controversy part. This gentleman was given around 40 lakhs or something, 20 lakhs to 40 lakhs, exact amount mujhe pata nahi hai. And this gentleman opened a stall, Baba Ka Daba, with the photograph is behind. First, he was having a roadside vendor stall. Then he put in a big shop, a restaurant kind of a thing. Unfortunately, just 1 month back, he has come back to his stall because he was not able to run that business, and he also went into depression, etc. Reasons unknown. Okay, but let us understand why did it not work? Why did this transition from a shop, a street vending mechanism to a stall did not work? So there are a couple of reasons. First and foremost, street vending business is individual centric. मैं हूं चलेगा. I am not able to create multiple copies of me. So what I pick over a period of time. मैं बचपन से ये business कर रहा हूं. I've seen what the mindset of people. I have not documented it to understand it. But I know ऐसा customer खरीदेगा, ऐसा customer नहीं खरीदेगा. The expertise, the experience that I have taken is all individual centric. It is there here, but it is not getting documented and duplicated to the next person in their business line, in my business line. So because it is individual centric, it is not duplicatable. So because duplication is not possible, growth gets limited to the number of hours the person who knows the business is putting in the business. So one of the biggest reasons of scaling up not possible because lack of documentation, individual centric, and not being process centric. Good corporates, good business houses work on processes. Today, Zomato is making a is the talk of the town today. It is not because Zomato is the business model. It is because the processes of the business is strong. So the process is duplicatable. Tomorrow, another 100 cities gets added. Zomato just has to upgrade their software and they are ready to roll in. So it's all about duplication or process centric rather than individual centric. So this is something which is needed. For example, the Indian cricket team earlier used to go and practice in English pitches to face this, which was a big constraint. But today you can have a bowling machine, and if suppose example, we were not very good playing pace earlier. The reason was because we did not produce that kind of bowlers who could bowl at a brisk pace in the net. But then what happened? Bowling machines started coming, processes. A bowling machine can be programmed to bowl at 150 kilometers per hour, 160 kilometers per hour if need be, and the batsman could practice it at that kind of pace. So that brings about the process change, not individual brilliance. So this is something, an example which I gave. And then economy of scale cannot happen. Economy of scale is where I have big money, big pockets, and I blast the market. I blast the market. I capture the big market. Even if I make 2 rupees per Coke, I still make millions of dollars by selling Coke. Why? Because I have a bigger reach, big pockets to go in a big, massive expansion drive. Economy of scale. I reduce my production cost not because of my this thing, but because I have a huge market which I can take care of in my production part. One more reason why Baba Ka Daba failed was there is an expectation mismatch. Okay, a shop the people who visit a tela are different from people who visit a dhaba or a shop. There are different things. So sometimes you need to understand whether you are focusing on USP or UVP, a subtle difference. In the first slide, the Mysore ka, what is it? Which vadai? Madur vadai. The Madur vadai example that I was giving, they are all USP, unique selling proposition. Basically, I have my customer, and this is how I'm going to sell to a customer. Whereas when you want to grow big, you don't focus on selling proposition, you focus on value propositions. When I say value proposition, you start working on what is the value that the customer gets. Like, for example, a simple example, honey ka, okay, honey ka, Dabur honey. There are 3 brands. I don't want to take names of brands because I don't want to side a particular brand, but everybody has got their value proposition. One guy comes and says, "Hamara honey सबसे cheapest है. Dabur का इतना, इसका इतना, इसका इतना." So one guy says, "We are the cheapest possible honey." One guy says, "We are the purest honey." One guy says, "You mix it with hot water and he will have it in the early morning. Your weight can be reduced." So the same honey is different value proposition for different kind of people. Just like the example of Cafe Coffee Day I gave, or I gave of you OLX and the thing. So big corporates focus on creating value. Value can be created by any component. It could be price, it could be quality is can come with multiple variants. So this is something which I say. So if you want to grow big, you want to take that street business to the next level, then you should shift from USP to UVP. So because then you start focusing on which kind of customers are going to come to my kind of stall or my kind of hotel. That is something. The last point is, people who are running their stalls are as similar to salaried people because they also are exchanging their time for money. Basically, I am putting in this much hours, this is the money that I'm making. Businesses make other efforts, make other people's money, and other people efforts when they make their money. So if I employ around 100 people to do a duplicatable job, I make money out of everybody's efforts. That is a business. So self-employed is very similar with job people. They both of the people, job people, the salaried people, and self-employed, what they do is they predominantly focus on exchanging their efforts, their knowledge, their time for paisa. But businessmen make money by leveraging on other people's efforts and other people's thing, because I have put in money as capital expenditure, and that money is what I make on. So this is predominantly from this thing. So nevertheless to say, in spite of all these drawbacks, nevertheless to say, street vendors can teach us business that probably does get missed in these schools. This is something which I personally carry. I have learned a lot of things from the street vendors who actually understand the nuances of minute details. You tell a street vendor किस बंदे को credit देना है, किसको नहीं देना है, they can sense and sniff people. That comes with expertise. But does it get documented? No. That is where the challenge is. So, but unfortunately, if we want to learn, our outlook towards learning has to change. We need to start looking at, from a learning perspective. Everybody in this world, and today being Guru Purnima, trust me, anybody can become our gurus as long as we are focused to learn. There's a nice meme which I found on the internet. In other countries, when somebody corrects our mistake, we say, "Thank you, buddy," something which is needed today. And in India, the standard dialogue is, "Haan, malum hai, chal. Apne baap ko mat sikha." End of a thing. So let us change our outlook, and probably we will be in a position to probably learn from street vendors and take whatever business or whatever stuff that we are doing to the next levels. There's a lot to learn from anybody in this world, including street vendors. So what I've actually served you is actually a belpuri of what I have seen, learned from street vendors. So I'm open for any questions. Anybody, any questions? I'm waiting for any questions. At least I get one or two, hopefully. So before we, start focusing on the 3 bandars again, start seeing, hearing, and asking about everything. So anybody has got any questions, please shoot your questions, please. Any questions, anybody?
So just out of curiosity,
Please, ma'am.
this internship and all we are talking about. So definitely, like your session, amazing as ever. Not because I know you, but I have been always following you to learn. Guru Purnima day or any other day, I always want to learn from you. I'm just thinking, this internship kind of a thing. The colleges are really struggling to send the students for internship. So anything is possible with a new education policy. Why don't we think about attaching a student with a street vendor at least for 15 days to learn?
Nice idea, ma'am. In fact, there are one college in Hubli in Dharwad, which actually did a research-based project on a sabji mandi in Dharwad or Hubli. I'm not very sure. It was KUD only, Karnataka University only. So they did that. So there was a lot of learning, and it was covered by the media also. But two things, ma'am. If you attach themselves with this thing, you should not disturb that person's business, because at the end of the day, his business should not get affected. And one thing is, we need to be observers. That's a lot of research that can be done. In fact, one of my friends is actually doing a research on street vendors. So there are a lot of people who are doing research, because that is where the learning comes from. Just by being a passive observer, understanding their business, there is a lot of learning that can happen. Like you said, colleges can think of it. Colleges can and should think of it.
Should think of.
Should think of it.
We shouldn't go, the students also, we should make them like, we shouldn't go with an attitude. We should go with a learning mode. Because
Yeah, very true. Very true. Very true. Very true. The MBA students should actually go with this thing to learn, rather than go with an attitude of मैं उनको help करूँगा. नहीं. First we need to learn, and then only probably we can think of some strategies. Because at the end of the day, unless I understand their day in day out business, probably for 15 days minimum, nobody will be able. No, I don't know. Even the experts probably, when we do consulting jobs, first thing is we sit and understand their processes for the 15 days minimum.
Yeah.
Then only anybody can give a solution.
Yes, we study many theories in colleges, universities, big authors. Recently, when I visited Pondicherry, just while coming outer, just spotted one, not street vendor. They kept it on the street also. They had a shop. One lady, woman entrepreneur. She was selling the mud parts. So just wanted to buy a mud part, and that time only she was opening. After the 2 3 months of lockdown, everybody is just opening the shop. So we just got down, and when we saw, then we saw the shop also, outskirts of Pondicherry. So when we went inside, she had very quality products from various places. Of course, very the taste you can make out. It's not for cheap or anything, but selling at a very nominal price. And we picked up certain things, and my daughter ended up buying some artistic things and all. So the cost came around 1,300 or something in total. The transparency angle I'm talking about. Immediately she could have told anything, or she could have offered me discount or anything. Immediately she was so happy, such a pleasant voice. She told, Madam, after many months, I'm able to sell more than 1,000 rupees. Not as a complaint, not as anything, but just sharing. She doesn't have to share with me. So there, that like you said, every sales is emotional. So suddenly that becomes the attachment towards the product becomes attachment towards that woman. You appreciate her, and you don't even feel like asking for a discount.
Very true. Very true.
That is gone. So that's a beautiful selling aspect I found.
In fact, one example, when you were talking about this Mangalore to Bombay highway, Bangalore, just outskirts of Mangalore, there is one KT stall. Okay, it's a very small stall, and there you get tea, which is a brand by itself. Okay, KT is a brand by itself. I think it's KT. Anybody from Mangalore can correct me. The layers of there will be a layer of milk on top of the layer of tea. There will be tea, watery tea, and the layer. Then it will come with a spoon. It will be 2 layers, and you have to mix it to have. That's a brand value. People in Mercedes-Benz come, stop, drink tea, then only enter Mangalore. So that's a brand which, and they have not expanded it. It's still a very small shop. But people stop their cars, foreign cars, to have that, and then only do. I think it is Katil. I think Katil is the place somewhere. I don't know, but the example is there. Anybody else? Any questions? No questions means nothing understood or everything understood. Dangerous. Okay, tomorrow I am having a session on selling skills. Basically, yelling is not scaling is the name of the title. There I share with you how to sell, how to create value for the customer, front-ending selling, negotiations, how to do negotiations and all. You can share the same YouTube link with anybody and everybody. And again, if you want the list, you can always text me or send me an email. And those who have watched this video, if there are no more questions, you can just like and share my YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/prof Ramni Venkat. That's the YouTube channel. You can share, like. Tomorrow morning 11 to 1 I have this particular session. So thanks to everybody. If there are no more questions, we can wind up. Any other? Yeah, Amraman.
So this Marwari people or Marwari people, they are very good business people. So when you go to their shop, when you ask for something, if they don't have it, they will never say, I don't have it. So they will show you some other product, or they'll say, we'll give you tomorrow something. Is it, they're not telling I don't have, is it a sentiment or it is a selling
Two
proposition?
things, man. First and foremost, because you brought in a particular community, let me also tell what we need to learn from them. Okay.
Yeah.
First thing which we need to learn from them is they start learning the local language faster than probably any other community does. So this is something we should appreciate. You go to a Marwadi shop in Karnataka, they will be speaking to you in Kannada. You go to a Marwadi shop in Tamil Nadu, they will speak to you in Tamil. You go to a Marwadi shop in Maharashtra, they will talk to you in Marathi. That's something which we need to. They adapt to the change. They are there to be there. Now coming to it, it is still to a certain extent sentimental, also to a large extent. Sometimes if you go early morning, that happens in any shop. If you go early morning to a shop and you ask for a product, if he says kal milega, because early morning they don't want to say nahi hai. Okay, so they will say kal milega. That is one thing which I learned when I was a kid, because he said kal milega. Nahi, mere ko aaj chahiye karke argued. Then my father said, no, don't argue. He is saying kal milega because boni ka time pe they don't want to say no. So they will say kal milega. So that's when I learned that when you said this, that it's still to a large extent sentimental. And sentimental is there everywhere. I mean, even corporates on Diwali, stock market on Diwali day has a 5 minutes stock market, right? Only for Diwali ke liye. So sentiments is there. Stock market mein on Diwali day, they do it called as boni. They do a boni round only for 5 minutes, and it will always go up. They will make sure it goes up. So that it is business to a certain extent is sentimental. I would use the word emotional.
It's not at all just sentiments, though.
Okay.
I mean, I would just like to add few things.
Please.
It's not only sentiments, but it is that you don't want to lose the customer as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
One more thing is, like, as ma'am said, that they try to sell other things. Of course, there is one product which is fast selling, but you have other products that you need to sell. So that is a strategy that they have to sell it off. Like, ye nahi hai. Like, if you come, you say, I want a blue gel pen from Reynolds. The person will say, I have a cello gel pen, and that is better. That you can take it. The quality is very good. That is another strategy that they have.
Fair enough. In fact, this strategy is used a lot by distributors in the medical industry. You go with paracetamol, they will say paracetamol nahi hai, dose 650 chalega kya. So it could also be depending upon what agency they have got. Which type have they have got. Thanks, Anita ji. Thanks for reminding me. It will also be a strategy. It will also be a strategy. It will also be a strategy. It could be.
Yes, sir. We go and ask, they'll say, this is not there, the equal product is there.
You go to Apollo's, they have their own local listing. And that is there even in D-Mart. D-Mart, Metro has got their own local mango drink. D-Mart has got their own local mango drink, in spite of having, Maaza and all. They have their own local mango. And the margins are higher. So they tend to push that. That's also possible. That could also be a strategy. But sentimental bhi hote hain. I mean, it's both. But thanks, Neeta ji, for correcting me.
Yeah, and as ma'am was saying that they wanted to send their students for internship, they can definitely send the students to local small shops, like maybe a grocery shop or even a stationery shop, and I'm sure the students will get to learn a lot from these shops. They can maybe not say that we are coming here for internship. They can just go and check if there is a small job available. They can work over there, and I'm sure the students will learn a lot from these shops.
The parents should agree. That is the more important.
I think today parents have also become
Agree?
So, any other questions? Otherwise, we can mind them. No more questions. Harshita ji, Soni ma'am, Soni ji. Sripal ji, namaste. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, sir. Sir, recording chal raha hai, main baat mein. Any
Yes,
questions,
right,
sir?
sir.
Any questions? How?
No, it's fine. No, ठीक है, sir. I'm listening, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So wish you all the very best. Tomorrow's link is the same for Zoom and the same for YouTube also. Hope I get better numbers tomorrow. Thanks so much. Wish you all the very best. God bless you. Take care. Stay safe. Be safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.